been quite a while. It's Gwen. We're back with another tutorial. It's been so long. This was requested. Um, and little fun fact: this drawing here is one that I did in middle school. So this is kind of like a recreation of something I've already done. Um, it's been so long that I don't remember what all I did, but I definitely know that the process is going to be much different than what we did before. Um, let's just start sketching out the details. And as we go along, I will explain differences between this digital program and if you're using pencil and paper. Um, a lot of the things you do are going to be much different, um, just for like a process. Especially, I plan to add a more detailed background this time around. And normally you would add those details in, I, I want to say, I was taught you were supposed to do the background first, and then whatever you did here would be like the last thing you colored. But I'm not 100 with drawing programs like this, you don't have to do it that way. But I might do it that way just to make it easier on me. Let's see. Let's block out. Let's see. Make that part a little bit bigger. It's more chubby squirrel. I'm going to rotate this a little bit because I did mess up on the angle. I am in a position right now where I have to be laying down in my bed. So it's a little bit more awkward for me to draw right now, but I'm going with it. Let's see. I'm drawing a little extra shapes here just so you can see the process my brain is going through. Hold a little chestnut there. Because most of the time when I draw, like I think about these shapes before I actually put them in, but I don't always draw it out. But it takes some practice to get to that point without actually drawing it. And when you go in and put in all these shapes, you want to start out light. That way when you go over it later with regular pencil, you'll be able to hide the extra lines. Let's see. It's a little bit lower down. Now what I should be doing is going off of the reference I used in middle school, but I don't have that right now. I don't know what reference I used. I think it was a photo that our instructor had at the time. Oops, get out of there, Steam. But I don't think she let us have copies. We only worked on this. Where's my brain right now? We only worked on this in class. We weren't allowed to work on it outside of class, so let's see. Now I'm noticing in here I am exaggerating the details a little bit, and I do have some of the placement here a little off. Sometimes that happens, and that's okay. With a digital program, it's a little bit easier to fix that because you can move little portions of the sketch around. But that's why we draw lightly on the first sketch. That way, if you make a mistake like that, erasing it isn't an issue, and then you don't ruin your paper trying to erase everything you don't strain the paper erasing too much. Now, if you were here in the last tutorial when I drew my dog, usually I do the eyes last. I think I'm going to change that up for this one just because of what happened. What happened last time. It's like the one thing I remember. Let's see. And I'll definitely be adding more detail than I did here. I think this we had a certain amount of time to work on, and then whatever we had done, we had to keep as is. Let's see. Now this is my second sketch. I have it on a separate layer down here. Right now I'm just getting the basic shapes in. Eventually when we go in for the actual fur, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. I'm also going to add different shading in the background. I'll probably do that shading on a separate layer. But again, when you do this on paper, or if you're doing this at home with different materials, there's other ways that you can do the same type of shading. Let's see. And if it helps to imagine the fur here, you can start adding it in like this, but I'm still kind of blocking out the shapes a little bit. Might give him some puffy cheeks because he's eating. Alright. There are some drawings where I don't always do 2 layers of sketching. Sometimes I just do one sketch and then I just go. But I figured it would be a little easier, especially with something that I haven't drawn in a while, to do the 2 sketch process. You see I've still got some of the details a little off here, but that's why I did the second sketch. Sometimes you can see those errors a little bit better in the second sketch. If you need to go like this a little bit to see the angles you're working with too, do that, because then you see, like, even if you don't know anatomy, you can kind of see like muscle patterns here, or like, right, I kind of lost my place here. Had to pause for a second. Um, it's hard to find time to record. That's why I haven't done a live stream in a while. I'm sneaking this in before my brother comes in. He has online classes until 10:30, but he usually tries to sneak in here before it gets started. Usually I'm at work right now, but I have a couple days off, so that's nice. Let's see. And it's okay to have your sketch pretty rough too, because then you can see all these extra lines. And sometimes, especially for more, what are the words I'm looking for? A more fluffy creature like this, it might actually help with the lines, because then you can see where the fur might be going, especially on the back here. We won't add a lot of detail on the sketch there, but let's get some background in. I'm gonna go ahead and shrink. Let me go on both layers. That might be easier. I should be able to shrink both at the same time. Come on. I really didn't want to do it. We got there. Alright. Not that far up. I've got like 8 different tabs open right now for different applications, so everything's a little bit slow when I do the transformation tool, but it'll get there eventually. You can do it. There we go. Alright. Go back to layer 2. We'll add in the rock. Grass. Again, just a rough sketch just to get the details in. I'm not going to be exact to the reference here, but using it for the pose and everything and the colors works. But if you're doing this at home, going off of this video, you can, where's my brain? You can, use whatever colors you want. I'm just going to go with what I've got here. It's mostly browns, a little bit of red in the back here, stuff like that. Let's see. So this, what I did here, I kind of made it look like it was more sunken in. It shouldn't be that way, but I'm going to add a little bit of that just as a reference for myself. That should work. Let's see. Now, I'm going to do background first. But I think I'm changing my mind on here. So let's make this a little bit bigger. It's on tilt again. I don't remember putting it on that. That's fine. I'm going to use pressure on this tool. It's been a little glitched out on my program here, but usually when I use a tablet and I do pressure, depending on how, okay, so it's working now. Depending on how you pressure the line, it'll show up on the drawing, kind of like you would with an actual pencil. Let's erase that though, and let's get some of these colors in. So the squirrel is mostly, it's a darker brown. So we'll start down here, and we'll have a second color in the background, maybe something a little lighter for the ear. I'm going to start with the fur. We'll go in around the eye a little bit later. We'll get some of the fur in first. Let's see. We'll also turn this down. This is why it's important to have the sketch really light. If you have the sketch too dark and you try to go in with colors that don't that are lighter than your sketch, you're not going to be able to see it much. And now there's a couple ways we can do this too. With my art program, I could block in all the colors first and then go back in and do all of this detail. This is going to be what takes the most time to do, is adding in all the fur, especially by freehand. And this is where patience really comes in. I was not patient as a kid, so this, I don't remember how long this took us to do in class, but it was really hard for me to stay focused on this. There were plenty of things I wanted to draw instead because I thought this was too difficult. But we're going at this, like an hour-ish at a time, maybe an hour and a half. I forgot what time I started this recording. I'll block them a little bit up here too. And right now I'm just kind of getting the outline of this fur too. So block in a portion, go back, get the colors we need later. Like here we'll go with spray, it's a little bit different. I think we'll start off with just doing the head for today. I don't know if we'll finish it, but it's a start. And like I said, you can do whatever colors you want. If you want to look up a squirrel and find one that you prefer the colors on, as opposed to this one, go for it. Like I said, this was based off of a photo that our instructor brought in, and we didn't have the option to use whatever colors we wanted. We had what we were given. So, but I think it's more fun to have a little bit more freedom, especially with tutorial drawings like this. have it be a little more carefree, especially with everything that's going on at this time. Like, why add all the extra stress when you don't need it? Let's see. I am also going to, so I'm going to go around the eye, and I'm going to go around the nose and the hands, or the claws, if you will, paws. And we'll go in later. I might do that on a separate layer underneath the fur, and then try to merge them and blend them together later. Let's see here. In the future, if I have time, I should have time tomorrow too for another recording like this. I want to go back to live streaming, and I might try to do like a combo tutorial live stream thing. But it all depends. It's really hard to find time to record when my brother's here because he wants to hang out with me the whole time, which is fine. I get that. But it doesn't give me a lot of time to do stuff on my own, at least when I'm at the house. And since we can't really go anywhere right now, I mean, I can still go out for like a walk or a run, but like, it makes drawing and recording for everybody a little bit harder. So it might take a little longer for me to get stuff like this out. Fix that. Now this is where it kind of starts to get lighter, so I am going to go in with that second color just for reference here. And I'm going to be going in with a ton of different colors. Like, I think I only use like 5 or 6 or 7 for this whole thing. But to add more details to this, I'm going to be going in with quite a few more. And typically, you're supposed to go light to dark. With my program, I can kind of avoid that. But when you're doing this at home, definitely start lighter. Maybe for like the darker parts, not too light, but like what I've got here, it's probably a little too dark than what you want to actually start with. But let me think here. I need to do a little bit down here too. Alright. Now there is actually some white around the eyes if I'm remembering the photo correctly. I don't have it on me, so I can't confirm or deny. So we're going to go in, we're not going to color the eye, but I am going to kind of outline it a little bit so I can see where I'm avoiding the fur and the little white outline here. So let's see if I can get that in really quickly. I am curious to now know how everyone's doing. Still can't speak, but we're getting better. Um, there's so much stress going on right now. I feel like everybody needs to have a way to vent every once in a while, because keeping it all bottled up isn't good. I know that from experience, and I don't recommend it. I mean, you should still be civil when you're venting and try to be nice about it, but keeping it bottled up doesn't always help. So there's that. Let's see. I am going to do a light for out. Oop, wrong thing. I'm going to scooch that down again. I'm going to have a light outline over here. Right about there. Not that close. I could just use the eraser tool for some of this. There we go. I think that's supposed to go out that way. Can't really see it on my old drawing here. It's also a blurry picture. I had to. So my parents actually have this, or my grandma has this framed in her house. Um, because they were so proud of it back then. They still are, but I doubt that my dad remembers that it exists now. Well, maybe. Like if you saw it, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's yours." But he's seen so much of my current artwork that he kind of gets, well, he gets forgetful about what else I've done. But like, I've drawn like realistic stuff like this before, and he kind of forgets that I'm able to do it. He's like, "You should stand your presence." I should. But he forgets that I can do this. It's just not something I do all the time because I do find it. Um, I still have that patience issue, but let's see. A little bit there. So let's see. I think I said I was going to do solely the face here, but I think I'm going to start. I'm going to go around his little nose first. A little bit thicker lines. Now, if this seems a little bit more difficult than the last one, so he's fluffy, but his fur is a little bit more dense. Um, when fur is like that on a creature, it is harder to get the details in. I was told it helps to go in the direction that the fur is moving in. It takes some practice, but you'll get there. Why did it go back to that? Let's do a little bit more red in there. Try to give it the illusion that it's farther away by having a little bit of a darker color. Usually it's the more blue and gray and dull it is, the more of an illusion of it being farther away. But I'm adding a little bit more red in here because I think it'll help with the actual fur itself. Because I am going to go into this lightly with a blender, or with the blender tool, and then go over it again and add more fur. Let's see. And then I'll have to go over this fur again. Do a little bit lighter up here. And I'm not following my own rules. I am going the wrong way with the fur, but it's okay. Go back to the first one I had. Shoulder's getting a little sore from laying in the way I am. But we've only got like another 15 minutes before my brother's going to try to come in, so we'll have a good stopping point then. We'll do a little bit darker closer to the middle. I apologize if my audio is really low right now. I am trying to keep a little quiet so that my brother isn't interrupted with his schoolwork. Plus, I've been having a few audio issues with all of this anyway. Like, my live streams have been super quiet. I'm not really sure why that happened. I tried to fix it before this too, but I think I got it kind of working. I'm hoping in the future that I can just be louder and not have to worry about keeping my voice down. But let's see how that goes. Might be a couple more months before that can happen. Let's see. Go back in. We use my eyedropper to catch that lighter color again. see, we'll add a little bit more. I think I got an extra line in there. Sure did. I think that's the one downside to using a digital program, or one of the downsides, because there's pros and cons to everything. Sometimes the program, I wouldn't say the program would glitch, but sometimes it won't register something correctly, and like you'll press down in one area and it'll go like over here. But it happens. Let's see. A little bit darker over here. I'm going to go in very lightly with my blender. Let's see. I have it on pressure, so that's good. Zoom in a little bit. That's a lot of it. Normally I would go in with the fur a little bit more, but I want to blend it and then go in again. At least for this art program. Again, if you're doing this at home, you're going to have to be a little bit more patient and kind of just keep going in with the lines in different colors. Again, start light and then go in a little bit darker to get to the colors you want. Let's see. Should have added more, let's go back to this. Because I have a bunch of white in the background that I should have worked on first. Because blending it, it's adding a lot of the blank space from the background. So I can get that in a little bit. Alright, let's go back to the blender and see if that helps anything. You don't go with a smaller tip. Yeah, that's working a little bit better. Alright, so that actually, I kind of like how that looks there. So we might pause on that and go to the other ear. Once I get this blended in a little bit more that way. But we will end up going back to this, probably in a different recording. We don't have a lot of time left on this one, just for time reasons. I was hoping to start this sooner, but like I said, I had to test the audio, check that out. I need a darker color there. There we go. Add a little bit more. Let's see here. Alright, we'll do a little bit of that, and then we'll blend it a little bit again. Now we're going to zoom in here a little bit so we can see a little bit better on the other ear. That one looks alright. I definitely used a lot more colors than I did the first time around, but I think it worked out for the better on this one so far. Yeah, so if we zoom out, yeah, that doesn't look too bad. We'll go back on that another time. Let's go to this one. So this, the shading on this is going to be a little bit more difficult, I think. So we probably won't finish this in the next 10 minutes, but we can at least start it. And go in with a little bit of a different color. Go a little bit more red. To contrast the darker red we had there, make it stand out a little bit more. And we'll work up until like this point here. Yeah. So we'll go back to this, start on the very edge. And then when I do go in, I might do the background before I finish the full colors for this squirrel. And that'll help me define the rest of the shading, the rest of the colors I need, that kind of thing. Alright, go in a little bit darker. Now, I was also taught to go with shorter lines too. It's a little harder to do with this because, again, it doesn't always register properly. It's doing pretty well today, but this tablet I'm using is also a couple years old. I should replace it soon. One of the wires is starting to fray on here, so maybe I'll just replace the wire. But I mean, it's working pretty well for something that's several years old, so can't complain. Alright, we've got a little bit of brighter colors in here. So we'll add a little bit of an orange almost, a burnt orange. Add a little bit of that in here as well. Here. Alright, we'll start going in a little bit darker again. Start on this edge now. There's a little bit of fraying on the fur here. We'll go ahead and do that a little bit darker. Just as a reminder to myself for later, because I will forget otherwise. There we go. Alright, what am I doing in here again? Go a little bit lighter again. Maybe not that much red. I'm going back and forth with the red and most a little bit. And if it helps you to block in the colors lightly first too, I would definitely recommend that. I'm not doing it with this one because it's not easier for me to do that. Let's see. Change that. So we're going to play out that way so that these can start connecting. Alright, note to self, the next time I do this, I am not going to be laying down because this hurts a little bit. Learning process, we know now. Alright, now this kind of looks like a little bit of a mess. That's what I get for not being patient, because I definitely let that slide a bit. Add some lighter colors in here again. Okay, a little darker in here. And we're going to go back in here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just to see how we're looking. Yeah, that's not bad. That really does look like a colored pencil from a distance. It doesn't look bad. I almost want to leave it like that. But we're not going to for this one. Maybe in a future drawing we'll leave it. It's very important to look. I think I've said this before in other videos, but it's very important to look from a distance at your artwork too, because more likely than not, especially if it's going to be hanging up on a wall or in a gallery or something, like most people are going to be seeing it from a distance. They're not going to be seeing it from this up close. They're not going to be like, oh, you made a mistake here, here, and here. Most of the time, they're not even going to see the mistakes. So I'm going to zoom out again. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of blending, but I've only got a couple minutes left. So, let's see. Yeah, I think it's a good time to start an outro or whatever. I'm not good at those, as we've noticed, but that's okay. Let me know if you've got any questions, concerns, comments of any kind. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Sorry, I got distracted. My little arrow garden turned off on its own for some reason. I turned the light on so that I could get some sunlight. Um, it's set to have it like an automatic thing, but like I don't do that because it's usually on when I have to go to bed, so I turn it off. And I turned it on before I started recording, and I turned it off on its own. So a little bit annoying, but whatever. But anyway, let me know what you thought so far. Tips, questions, if you have advice, I'm always open for more stuff, you know? Let's see. I think, because we're going to have to go back in here anyway, especially darker over here, so it doesn't all blend as one thing. But I think that's a good starting point. I actually do like how it looks better on this side, because we didn't blend this side. I like how it looks over here. But I think next time we'll try to finish this ear. We'll start more of the face, and we'll go from there. Thanks for taking the time to join me today. I think that's it for now. I'll see you next time. Bye.